Russian cosmonaut Valentina Tereshkova made history in the last century by being the first woman who went into space. But what was the real reason why they chose her for that historical moment? Although Tereshkova remains a hero for many, her active political life causes controversies all the time. Why do some Russians think she should step down as a politician? Is the women's role model, legendary cosmonaut Valentina Tereshkova, just a puppet of the government? Valentina Tereshkova was born on March 6, 1937, in a small village in central Russia. Her father, Vladimir Tereshkov, lost his life during the Finnish Winter War when Valentina was just 2 years old. Her mother was a worker at a cotton mill. Valentina's formal education began when she was already 10 years old, and she graduated from school at the age of 17. Her fascination with parachuting started at a young age, which later became one of the main reasons why she was selected to the Cosmonaut program. While working as a textile worker, she bettered her skills as a competitive parachutist while keeping it a secret from her mother. Before her recruitment, Tereshkova never said that she dreamed about being a cosmonaut. After Yuri Gagarin's historic flight in 1961, Nikolai Kamanin, the director of Cosmonaut Training Center, learned from American media that female pilots were undergoing astronaut training. Concerned that the first woman in space might be American, Kamanin wrote in his diary, "We cannot allow that the first woman in space will be American. This would be an insult to the patriotic feelings of Soviet women." Consequently, approval was granted to include 5 female cosmonauts in the upcoming training group. In February 1962, Tereshkova, being a skilled parachutist and complying with other criteria, was chosen to join the female cosmonaut corps, alongside 4 other candidates. After a long and hard training, the State Space Commission, at their meeting on the 21st of May 1963, chose Tereshkova to pilot Vostok 6. But what set her apart from others? One of the other cosmonauts, Ponomareva, had been said to be the superior candidate. She had a background in aviation and engineering, was older, and highly intelligent. However, a significant factor that likely played a role was that she was a mother. The risk of leaving a child orphaned was a huge concern. Also, Ponomareva had an attitude. She frequently engaged in disputes with instructors and exhibited a strong sense of individualism, which wasn't in a line to Soviet ideology. She desired greater autonomy and control over her automated spacecraft. But this clashed with the communist principle of collectivism, where the focus was on working together rather than individualism. Tereshkova, on the other hand, had impeccable socialist traits. Her family was working class. Her father died fighting for the Soviet Union. She had joined the Communist Party in early ages. She could speak in Soviet political cliches and be a perfect piece in the Soviet propaganda machine. Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev was happy with the propaganda potential of her selection as well, and confirmed her selection. On the morning of June 16, 1963, both Tereshkova and her backup Solovyova wore their spacesuits and were transported to the launch pad via bus. The duration of the flight was already extended from 1 day to 3 at Tereshkova's request. Following a 2-hour countdown, Vostok 6 lifted off without a problem, taking Tereshkova into space. She became the first woman in space, and to this day, she remains the only woman to have undertaken a solo spaceflight. Remarkably, she achieved this feat at the age of 26, making her the youngest person to venture into space until 2023, when an 18-year-old space tourist flied with a commercial flight. Her call sign for this mission was Chaika, which translates to seagull in Russian. After her launch, Tereshkova radioed down the following message. "It is I, seagull. Everything is fine. I see the horizon. It's a sky blue with a dark strip. How beautiful the Earth is. Everything is going well." Vostok 6 marked the concluding flight in the Vostok program, and was launched just 2 days after Vostok 5, which carried Bykovsky on a 5-day mission. Cameras inside both spacecraft transmitted live footage, which was broadcast on Soviet state television. Despite experiencing mild nausea and physical discomfort for a substantial portion of the flight, Tereshkova completed 48 orbits of Earth and spent an impressive 2 days, 22 hours, and 50 minutes in space. Her mission continued vital medical research on humans in space and provided valuable comparative data on the effects of space travel on women. Tereshkova also maintained a flight log and captured photographs of the horizon, which later aided in identifying aerosol layers in the atmosphere. As per the planned procedure for Vostok missions, Tereshkova ejected from the capsule during its descent, making a parachute landing 620 kilometers northeast of Karaganda, Kazakhstan, on June 19th. Bykovsky landed 3 hours later from Vostok 5 spacecraft. Tereshkova managed to land safely, but with a bruise on her nose. Afterward, she shared a meal with local villagers in the Altai Krai region, who assisted her in removing her spacesuit. The success of the dual spaceflights was celebrated tremendously in Moscow. It is said that 1 million flowers were brought in to honor the achievements of the cosmonauts. On June 22, 1963, Nikita Khrushchev announced that both cosmonauts were to be honored with the prestigious Hero of the Soviet Union medal. After her historic mission, Tereshkova was reportedly asked how the Soviet Union could express its gratitude for her service to the country. Her request was that the government locate and disclose the place where her father had been killed in action. This request was fulfilled, and a monument was erected at the site. On the evening of June 22nd, a reception was held in the Kremlin to honor both Bukovsky and Tereshkova, during which they were both awarded the Order of Lenin, one of the Soviet Union's highest distinctions. Following her groundbreaking spaceflight, Valentina Tereshkova emerged as a feminist figure, both nationally and internationally. Women were deeply inspired by her achievements. Valentina Tereshkova played a prominent role as a representative of the Soviet Union on the global stage. Public speaking, accepting honors, being a citizen diplomat around the world, and maintaining a highly visible role within the Soviet sphere were all integral aspects of her public life. Tereshkova never flew again, but became a cosmonaut instructor and graduated from Zhukovsky Air Force Engineering Academy. When it comes to other 4 female cosmonauts who were patiently waiting to take the flight, their turn never came, and the group was disbanded by the government in 1969. One of those 5 cosmonauts, Ponomareva, later said that it became clear that women's role in cosmonautics had no future. The main task of asserting Soviet dominance in space had been accomplished, and there appeared to be no further roles or tasks for women in this field. After Yuri Gagarin's tragic death in 1968, the Soviet Union didn't want to lose another hero, so they never let Tereshkova go into space again, and had different plans for her. It can be assumed that Valentina never said no and accepted what was offered to her by the government. She became more actively involved in politics and assumed various political positions during her career, including membership in the Supreme Soviet of the Soviet Union and in the Communist Party. Valentina Tereshkova maintained her political involvement even after the Soviet Union collapsed. In 2011, Tereshkova was elected to the State Duma as a representative of the Yaroslavl Oblast and a member of the Putin's United Russia Party. In the State Duma, she supported amendments to the preamble of the Russian Constitution, emphasizing orthodoxy as the foundation of Russia's national and cultural identity. Interestingly, during the Soviet era, she held atheist views in line with the Communist Party's official stance, referring to religion as a big evil. Tereshkova continues her political career as a member of the State Duma and being a deputy for more than 55 years. In 2020, Valentina Tereshkova has found herself in a controversial situation among some Russians when she proposed a constitutional amendment that could potentially extend Vladimir Putin's presidential term until 2036. This move has caused mixed reactions and made her a hate figure in Russian politics. Supporters of Putin had applauded this move, viewing it as a positive development. However, critics had voiced strong reservations, accusing Putin of seeking to extend his rule indefinitely and using Tereshkova in pushing the amendment forward since she's a national hero. The proposed constitutional amendment and Valentina Tereshkova's role in supporting it had led to public discontent. One petition, signed by nearly 8,000 people, wanted to have Tereshkova removed of her title as honorary citizen of the Tutayev town, her birthplace. In response to her critics, Valentina Tereshkova has characterized them as unpatriotic, stating, "I don't even want to talk about these people who don't love the country." Again in 2022, Valentina Tereshkova's support for Russia's military actions against Ukraine raised eyebrows. Ironically though, a few years earlier she said in an interview to The Guardian that people shouldn't waste money on wars, but come together to discuss how to defend the world from threats like asteroids coming from outer space. Streets in Ukraine that were named after Tereshkova were renamed, reflecting the country's stance. As of January 2021, there were still 24 Ukrainian streets named after Tereshkova. However, by 2023, these streets have undergone name changes, and there are no longer any public objects bearing Tereshkova's name in Ukraine. On top of that, she faced significant international backlash following her vote in favor of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The U.S. Department of the Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control added her to the specially designated nationals and blocked persons list on September 30, 2022. This designation freezes her assets and prohibits U.S. individuals and entities from engaging in transactions with her. Additionally, In December 2022, the European Union implemented sanctions on several Russian media figures and politicians, including Tereshkova. These sanctions involve freezing assets and banning entry into European Union member states. Although some Russians' opinion about her changed drastically from positive to negative, Valentina Tereshkova is still seen as a legendary cosmonaut who inspired many other women. Today, space exploration enthusiasts continue to appreciate her role in space history and consider her a hero. What are your thoughts on her? Should people forget her contributions because of her political remarks? If you enjoyed this video, you might want to learn about Russia's quite recent Luna 25 mission as well.